We already have like blue and black in here because obviously we have some trees and branches and things like that that are going to be colder than the rest of things. I'm looking for those blue and black areas to move or to take shape. So when I'm watching your video, I want those to either take shape in like a head, shoulders, moving arms and legs. Like that's what I'm looking for. Like full blown.
Really?
Oh yeah, full blown cool people. That's what we've caught in the past. And by the way, this is my hand because it's in the view right here.
Yeah.
So even when they are, something is just kind of moving across the screen, I actually had to downgrade because somebody broke my upgrade 2 weeks ago, so I'm waiting for the new one to come in. But the other one actually has a blue dot bouncing around, showing you where the coldest spot is in the frame. So this one I set up to where there's at least the center crosshairs on there, Mark. So if you want to see like actually how cold that is, you're going to have to move the camera to get it up there so you can actually see how cold it is. Sorry, I'm at a weird angle. But you would have to move it.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
So it'll measure wherever that center crosshairs lands. Okay. Right. So I'm usually looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops. So tonight we are sitting, I want to say it was at like 67, 65 degrees. So let's just say I'm looking for 42 degrees and colder. Okay. Now, again, even if it's, like you caught something and it's 42 degrees, more than likely it's going to be a window, an aluminum can on the ground, things like that. I'm looking for those things to move. So even like you're going to see a blue dot move across your screen, like that's not a blue dot just moving across your screen. It is some kind of entity moving, even though we might not catch the center crosshairs on there because you weren't quick enough to be able to capture it. We'll still be able to see like a black mark going across the screen in an intelligent way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We're going to keep it running for the entire time that we are in that space, and then we don't need to record in between spaces, like recreating the Blair Witch Project, right? Okay. So I'll kind of give you the cue, like, hey, go ahead and give your hands a break. You can even put it in your hoodie pockets, keep your hands warm if you want to, and be comfortable with it. So this place used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street, and Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of the land. Who the hell were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. That's why we look for those secondary clues. If you hear the name Charles, I need to know which one it is, so we know how to address them. They're all 3 different men. So you got the point on that, so that's good. But the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than both of you combined. We're going to move on. If I don't give the gentleman that recognition, they will do it for me in a nasty manner through their own voices on your spearphones. I try not to piss them off, and we just move on. Now, we're going to talk about Eliza instead. Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say it slowly because if you're going to ask her how old she was, do not expect numbers from the colonial days that she came from, like 12 and 14, when young ladies got married. So, by the way, this is where I start withholding information. I will not be giving you questions here like, what color is George Washington's white horse? Like what we did over there with the big rifle. Yeah. But anyway, if you ask her, and the reason I say that way is because the husband was over double Eliza's age when they married. It was creepy then, it's creepy now. So I'm just going to put that in the back of your brains. Looks like you guys don't have that age gap between the two of you.
No.
But moving on, she married him because her father is over in England, where she's from. The dad thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time so he can see him. Well, Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so she stayed put right here and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. So she did marry him out of love. Again, nothing horrific about this place whatsoever. If anything, it's a place of respect. So this is what I love about this location, is because it teaches people that ghost hunting doesn't always have to be scary. Moving on. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending Eliza gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seed of indigo. That's a plant that makes blue dye, makes your blue jeans blue. You're wearing it right now because that's how we still use it. Yeah. But it all started right here. Now, when she got her seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it going. It's obviously not warm here all the time. We just chatted about that. Learned how to make the dye, then moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of Dad overseas, told him that the rice plantation's going downhill in price, they're going to make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial days, something absolutely unheard of. So that's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird shit. So you're going to get a set of focus questions, and I'm going to try to keep this location as controlled as possible. And you can ask these questions out loud as we kind of go through this location, or you can just focus on them. That's why I just call them focus questions. There's no right or wrong. And she knows what questions we're going to ask anyway. So we're here every night, except for last night when my face is blown up like a balloon. Now, you guys would, based on how quickly I talk, you would probably never guess that I shut my mouth all day yesterday.
I mean, it's all right.
I mean, the wife was home, and normally, my kids are obviously pretty much out of the house. My youngest still lives with her mom up in Myrtle Beach, but it's just me and my wife. So I can talk to the dogs with just hand signals. Like, that's the way they're trained. So if I need my dog, I just, you know, I don't have to talk. So I just shut my mouth all day. But anyway, you guys are getting like the repercussions of me shutting the hell up all day yesterday.
I just heard the creepiest voice.
What was it?
I don't know what it said. It was a female voice.
Okay. Interesting. And I say interesting only because I normally don't pay attention to gender unless it's disembodied. So unless it's going over multiple radio stations where there's no way that it's radio chatter, that's the only time I ever pay attention to the actual gender. And we have gotten disembodied voices here before.
I don't know what it was, but it just sounded like very...
Just,
but like...
Okay. Interesting. Definitely, I may have to look for that. That sounds
I don't know what that
was.
It just sounded weird.
You're going to focus on Eliza's death. She's pretty open about talking about it.
Okay.
So, the 4 major things that we get answers to. So, how old she was when she died.
Okay.
How she died. Where she's buried. What president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So those are the 4 majors that I normally throw people. If you focus on anything else, just try to be respectful and make sure they're not yes/no questions. So I haven't gotten anything out of this since I pulled it out, which is odd because we normally have pretty decent EMF here. So once I start getting some numbers, you'll see me with my little notebook writing shit down. And of course, being a videographer isn't always the most exciting thing. So we may swap you out with, you know, something else.
I can't tell. Sometimes I can't tell if anything I'm seeing is worth anything or not. I'm trying to like keep you all in it so that I can compare it with the background of the blue.
I will tell you, when I have like the full team out, I do use 3 different styles of cameras.
Yeah.
So with the 2 smaller cameras, that being one of the smaller ones, I don't always follow up with it in real time because I do send it to YouTube so you guys can watch it on your TV. I watch it on a large computer screen. Yeah. So it's not always the most exciting thing being a nice still videographer, you know, while everybody else is working and listening to cool shit.
Yeah.
So we might just swap you out, you know, with something else to get maybe a different type of footage so you guys have a well-rounded, you know, set of data, so forth and so on. And you can learn about something else as well. So, but the spirit box, sorry, you're going to probably be stuck with that thing all night long.
Sounds good.
Chattering in your ear. So let's take a quick lap. Let me see what's going on the word list, and we'll kind of see what's going on here.
I'm just trying to find something that flies through the screen or anything.
And again, I probably find about 5 pieces per year on that guy. So again, I hate to like be the guy of disappointment, but we won't get it if we're not recording.
Makes sense. I'm glad we're actually recording now because I didn't think about doing that.
Yeah, just leave it on. Just leave it on while we're here. Because a lot of people think that you're going to hit record when you think you see something. And if you do that, it's already gone.
It's already gone, yeah. It's not like it's going to stay around and say, hey, what's up?
Yeah. Just depends on who it is. Got a 6.2, 14.4. It's good. 6.2, 14.4.
56 degrees.
What do you have that's 56 degrees?
I mean, just the blue on, I guess it's the ground, I guess.
Okay. Because my ambient over here is 61.
Huh. Interesting.
Liza, where you at? Thury, just spit out whatever you hear. You're going to have Tourette syndrome. So just spit out whatever you're hearing. I'll let you know what sticks.
Interesting.
It's actually slow, believe it or not. It's the slowest it can possibly be.
Now we're getting somewhere. So this works better if I'm further away, I think. At least further away from the thus us that pushes the heat out.
young.
Talking about your marriage, Miss Eliza? 32.7.
There was a man.
Remember, the gender doesn't matter.
No, the voice just said there was a man.
Oh, that's what. Okay. Eliza, was that Charles? Can you verify by saying his name? Or showing us his name? The other word box is in my pocket. Pull it out if you need me to.
So home.
Eliza, we're up near the house. Now what do you want us to do? We're letting you run this charade. We'll follow your direction.
Stranger.
Yeah, they always bring strangers. That's it. Come closer.
As we embrace.
As we come closer, I watch it slowly drop down to zero. Give us something specific about you to let us know which Charles. Birthdays are usually the biggest indicator. I'm getting all zeros. It seemed to pick her back up again.
Free.
Eliza.
Remember what?
Gotta give us more details than that, Eliza. Charles, if you're trying to tell us which one you are, it doesn't give me very much.
Commodity. Local sheriff.
Neither one of them served in that. None of them served in that capacity. Eliza, take us to leave. You know the code word. Eliza, wrap it up. You're not going to give us much here. Be respectful. Some of my numbers aren't giving me much here. What you've given me wasn't like super like on point either.
Okay.
So go ahead and hit your stop button, Mark. Kind of hold this.
That's why he was saying the person, the doctor, or whatever. Interesting.
So you kind of see how I'm holding this. You don't really know what I'm doing. That's the way you're gonna hold it.
Okay. All right.
Just make sure the camera's on your left. And we always want to try to keep it. There you go.
All right. I just don't know what I just want to make sure I'm recording.
You are.
On the way here, I was feeling like chest pain, like back
Right.
chest pain. I don't know. It felt weird, but I don't know if it.
Let me see the front of your screen again.
Had anything to do with anything.
I just want to make sure we're recording. Just want to make sure you have that square on there.
But anyway.
Yeah, so welcome to Philadelphia Alley. Every ghost tour comes down here. I know it doesn't look that way right now, but again, this is chilly for us. All the other ghost tours probably shut down for the night because they didn't want to be out in the cold. But every tour comes down here because this used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. I say some because dueling was illegal and they had to find hiding spots. This just happened to be one of the hiding spots. You know what you can also do, Mark, if you wanted to? I've done this before with that camera. You only need the camera to stick out of your pocket. So if you put your right hand in your pocket and just have the camera sticking out the other end, maybe go with the hood.
This?
Yep, just like that. Look at you. Now you're back on.
Yes, again.
Alright. So, Doc moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. We get it all the time because it's part of his name. Anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney helping her out with all of the cash that she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So he comes here to prove that he's not after her money. So on his way into town, his coachman he had set him up to be robbed and killed. It's like having a bad Uber driver, right? So not a very good start to his stay here in Charleston, but somebody was walking by and seen what was about to happen because he knew the coachman. And somebody walking by was named Ralph Isaacs. I stopped on his name slowly because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. So I do have another device that gives us just letters, kind of like a digital Ouija board, because we were getting RI all the time, like in Victorian. So somebody would be like spelling something out, and I wanted to make sure where it was going to be attached to, John, Joe, or the Ralph. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doc, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Why don't you just come with me? I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them. You'll be safe and good to go. Doc took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stayed here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. It's not after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this and she's moving down so they can be married, and Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time. It's another reason why I hate this story. It's a giant cliche. Every haunted city you'll ever visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Let's get into the duel. Now, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. On the way home from seeing Richard III, they are arguing over the new actress that they just saw. That's just Remy, by the way, in case you were wondering what the wrestling is about. We have a rat that lives in this area. So hopefully you're fine with that because we're in his house. She's like, okay. I'd say it every night. It's not a big deal. It never bothers us. But anyway, so on their way home, they're arguing, and Dr. Ladd thought the actress was great. Ralph did not. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. The argument got really ugly, and they went their separate ways. I'd already told you that Ralph has, friends around town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Oh. Kind of you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doc saw this and rebutted with, let's just go to Dueler's Alley. We settle this like men, somebody will die. Yeah, all this started over an actress, by the way. Just want to point that out because it's really dumb and stupid. Yeah. So the two men came back here, back to back. They took 10 paces away from each other. They turned. The doc points his gun in the air, and he shoots his one bullet. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage to show up. But Ralph has his one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. He proved his point. I don't want to kill you, but I'm still pissed. So, Doc fell to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. I'm going to point out two things. You work in the medical field, 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different than what we know of them today. He's also a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed because he died. Now, every ghost tour that tells you to come down here, they will say, listen for the whistles. We have a camera running, plus my voice recorder. If we're going to get a legitimate disembodied whistle, it'll show up on one of those two devices. If you try this on your own, I know you guys are leaving in the morning, but a lot of people like to walk through here without me and turn on their voice recorders from their phone and see if they can capture it. And when I warn those people of, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley. It's just something we do here. So just kind of keep that in the back of your brain. And I do it, especially since I got thrown out of here. This is also the reason why I was hesitating for the guy with the dog to keep on walking, because I didn't know if he was a neighbor down at the end. Let me tell you how I got booted out of here, because that actually explains why we go to the location we're going to next. This alley did not go all the way through the way we came in. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this was called Cow Alley before Dueler's Alley. So they kept all the livestock down here. Cows, chickens, and goats were running around like rampant, right? Okay. So what does that mean for you guys, and why did I get kicked out of here? That was a long time ago. I used to take my groups all the way through here because Down at the other end, those bricks are older than the ones we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks and some fingerprint swipes in others. And I used to take my groups down there for a history lesson because there's nothing paranormal about it. It's the last place you're going to find that kid. Same thing with how I feel about cemeteries, right?
Right.
November 26th of 2020, I took my group down there, and they all huddled around that damn brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because we're also outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying to be respectful. I didn't realize that I was out of bounds for tours. Yeah, I was still new at this. Yeah. The new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter, who was on the tour that night, she was probably 12 or 13, thought it was absolutely hysterical, and we just moved on. So the next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in upper management for Walmart for over 10 years, and you guys like to fight over towels on Thanksgiving, and you scarred me for life. You get the point. I'm not doing Thanksgiving. The next day I called my partner. And she's like, yeah, I'm one of those gals. I called my partner that brought me into tourism away from retail, and I told him what happened. And he started laughing too, just like my daughter did. And he's like, you're only allowed to go down halfway, dude. Otherwise, it's residential. He's like, you got to reroute your group. The rest of my tour used to be that way. So I had to come up with something quick because it's Black Friday, and I'm sold out again. So I told my team that night, I don't believe in the next story simply because I've never had anything happen with my equipment over there. Plus, I'm into vampires, not pirates. Obviously, we're going to be discussing pirates next. So, before we left the space, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating. The female pirate, Anne Bonny. I was kind of like, okay, maybe we'll get something. We go up around the corner. I told them the little bit I did know about piracy because I only had a quick day to research. And somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what it meant. I wrote it down. Do the research for them afterwards. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. 300th anniversary of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I normally get the oh wow type mentality behind that. I was actually pissed. You guys know my education. I do have a master's degree in creative writing. Whenever I'm writing anything, including fiction, I still use facts and data, and especially with this. Problem with pirate stories is they come from pirate lore, which was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy, the days of Blackbeard. That means I have to read more books on pirates to validate all of our findings. I've already done all of it. It's been 4 years. I've done it. Now, I've read more books on pirates than I've ever wanted to in my entire life. I've watched more documentaries. I even play video games with different versions of the pirate story. So I have another wrapped around. You know, you guys get the point.
Yeah.
Just know that it is a 50-50 roll of the dice if we're going to hear from Anne when we go to the next location. We will more than likely hear more from Dr. Ladd than we will Anne Bonny, but it's a great tale just because I've done a shit ton of research on this one. So we'll kind of see what happens when we get over there. The tale is really cool. Just know that everything that comes out of my mouth over there came from a minimum of 2 resources. Like that was a very big, piece of criteria that I needed to go through when we got over there. Did you hear anything weird over there, or were you focused on me entirely?
I was kind of focused on you.
And that's okay. I'm seeing a lot of like religious terms on here, which is weird because they normally show up for you. I got cross. Where was it? There was something else. Reap, pray.
But I wasn't listening. Yeah. Hardly.
Normally we start getting religious terms over here because we are near our tallest steeple of St. Philip's. So normally that's a common thing that I would normally see, but it normally comes out of your guys' spirit boxes. So again, that's why we record everything. It's perfectly fine. Again, some people will either ignore that, especially with this tale, just because we are going to be quick in and out. Any other major questions about dueling? This is probably one of the most beautiful spots of Charleston, by the way, if you've never been down here.
It's very nice.
If you're into, if you're into photography, I guess is the great term.
I know.
Like this is always lit up like this, even day or night. Like this is what it's like. It's always this quiet. That's why they say you can hear the whistles, because it's always this quiet. Even on a busy Saturday afternoon, and you can East Bay Street, the street you guys parked on, is usually hustling and bustling with people everywhere. It's like this over here. Wow. It's crazy. We also have, I'm sure you guys smelled the honeysuckle on the way in.
I love the smell of honeysuckle.
You can always tell what season it is by coming down here, because in the fall, that's an anise tree. So you can smell black licorice. A lot of people don't like the smell of black licorice, but to me, that reminds me of old Pizzelle cookies from back home. Those are made out of anise. So that's in Ohio. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pizzelles at Christmas time. They look like snowflakes, but they're like flattened on a griddle. But yeah, they're made with anise. That's what gives them their flavor. So I grew up with those. So that's what it reminds me of in fall, because I know Christmas is coming. All right, let's go talk about Rated R Pirates. You guys ready? Fire,
yeah.
This is actually named Philadelphia Alley because after dueling became super illegal and stupid, they had to rename the alley. So they named it after a city, Philadelphia, that helped us out of one of our many, many fires. So there's why you probably hear the word fire down here. I'll definitely write it down. EMF down here, the reason why I didn't pull out that device is because we are in between 2 lampposts, and it is a rarity that we see anything above an 8, because those will give off up to a 7. So again, hopefully I'll get something at the next location, which is normally at flat zeros. So if I get a 2.5 over there, I will be excited like I was with the 32 that I got from the Pinckney. Okay. So again, you got to know your spaces. All right, let's go talk about Rated R Pirates. This sounds like a good time.
Alrighty.
You can stop that now if you want to kind of give your hands a break again.
Okay. Well, it'll let me do it. Alright.
Still a fuller core. We're actually allowed to go up to 20 people here in Charleston. I just don't do it. Normally, in the summertime, like, you'll see all these giant groups of 20. Sometimes they try to go 25.
Yeah.
A lot.
Wow.
I get people, like, if I'm at 10, and I only go to 10 on the weekends, 12 during the week, just because it gets too hairy down here, I'll have people, like, I'm just like, no, you're going to have to pick another night. Like, well, we have 3 people. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to, ruin my tour because you have an extra person.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I like to roll. Quality, right? So let's talk about why we're here. The building over there. That's a lot of tours will cut through here and just tell you a quick synopsis on the building. But it's part of the reason why we're here, because that is the Powder magazine. You guys get a chance to go inside the museum?
Yeah. Yeah, we went.
You went inside? So they already told you about the construction of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah, that was really cool.
You know what those crosses are on the outside then, right? Did I tell you what those are?
No.
Those are earthquake bolts.
Oh.
Earthquake bolts, if nobody told you what those are yet, they're basically turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake, like what I told you about at the beginning of the night, you can tighten them. And they're supposed to tighten the building so it doesn't incur any further damage.
What? How cool is that?
That's cool.
It's a great theory. It doesn't work.
Oh, okay. I was like,
It does nothing but switch the building.
It just destroys the structure of it, which will make it fall apart more often.
If you look at the apartment building, the brick building behind it, you can see the peach squares on all the floors. Those are also earthquake bolts. It's just part of the Charleston charm around here in Charleston. We have them all over the place. You guys may have even seen them in the shape of like lion heads and pineapples and all kinds of Yeah, that's what those are. It's just Charleston charm. But those crosses are part of the reason why we're here. So those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. The reason why is that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. Did they tell you that while you were inside there?
Yes.
So did they tell you what year it was finished?
Oh, I can't remember.
1713. Okay. The reason why we're here is because that building was being constructed at the same time Anne Bonny came here to start a new life. This is what I call a familiar. So we're here because she would recognize it because it's from her era. We don't have many buildings this old. Now, in the new TV shows, the example that I give is they use a new device called a Boo Buddy. It's basically a teddy bear with a little blinky, EMF meter inside of it to try to attract a child ghost to come to that thing because they would recognize it as a toy. Think of that concept with the building. We don't have many buildings this old. So again, that's why we're here. Now, the building took 10 years to build. Did they tell you that inside? Because they probably didn't.
No.
That's not like a bragging point because the building is so small. I normally make the joke, does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? Absolutely does. Now, with that, our history begins right in the middle of its construction. So I will speed through this so we can get back to work with our devices and swap out a camera for you. So there's a lot of information here. So again, I'll speed talk. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you with me so far? There's a couple of little twists. The 3 of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed off was the wife that she kicked them out of the country when there's no planes? So, newlyweds, be nice to your wife. She'll kick you up to Canada on a plane.
Right.
Now, with that said, they landed in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. So it's about 90 minutes north of here. Yeah, you could probably give your ears a break on that. Like, that's a lot to take in. So Dad bought a plantation up there in Georgetown. Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to sell things from the plantation to keep things afloat.
Okay.
Hence the familiar building. Let's take a step back to Ireland for a split second to give you her mentality. When Anne was a child, they say she killed us.
Oh, Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I heard bagpipes.
Yes. When she was 7, 8, 9 years old, remember this is pirate lore, nothing is ever going to be exact. They say Anne killed a servant with a knife to the belly. Like, I just want to give you this young lady's mentality as we move through her history. Now you know how badass she is. Now, fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love with one of these pirates so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world at this point. First, the guy she falls in love with. I say first because there's a handful. We're going to cover them all. That's what makes the story so good.
All right.
First guy is James Bonney. You already know where this one's going. I told you her pirate name. Dad didn't approve because he's a filthy pirate that ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Cormac became Anne Bonny. That's where the pirate name came from. However, when she gets down there, she realizes her new husband is not Captain Jack Sparrow, like what she was hoping for. This guy turned out to be a privateer. That means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wanted. She falls in love again. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham. Everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering.
Oh.
Jack has his own ship. He has his own crew. You can't put a female on a pirate ship. Do you know why?
Yeah.
It's bad luck. You're overthinking it. That dirty thoughts of your mind. I can see it like spinning around. And I do that on purpose just to make people feel uncomfortable. I also do that to make sure I want to see who's like paying attention, because I do speed through this one even with my larger groups. And some people know that it is actually bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, look like my crew, you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. But we're all adults here. Put 2 and 2 together. She is a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out she's a girl. He drops her off in Cuba before she starts to show her. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, just like male pirates, on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So, get my point on that one. Mary and Anne, friends for sure, maybe lovers, we're not really sure because of the time frame, but the British find out where they are. They send a whole fleet of Navy ships to take down one pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. Obviously, 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns cannot take on a whole fleet of Navy ships. They get arrested, and as they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain and beau and says, "Jack, I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up on our communication devices all the time here. The judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight, dead and gone. 2 ladies go in front, reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. The judge could give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. He's going to hang them anyway. We plead our bellies, is what they shouted back to him, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. Very smart move. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84.
Dang.
Very abrupt ending because we don't know much about her or anything of truth after her pirate career. Mary Reed died 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Now, most books will tell you that it was fever. I'm going to say, why not make it romantic? Call it scurvy. I don't give a shit. We're talking pirates. Now, I'm not going to control this environment like what I did at the Pinckney Mansion site. You can ask whatever the hell you want to in here. However, I did leave a few things out of the story on purpose. The names of Anne Bonny's parents. I didn't tell you what those were. Yes, that's a factual thing. The name of the city where Anne grew up in Ireland, the name of Calico Jack's ship, and the color of Anne's hair. And I do that just because I do normally have 5 to 7 communication devices spread out, so that way everybody has something to work with. You guys can pick and choose, but you can also ask whatever you want to here. And I also say you don't necessarily have to be respectful here. If you got to kick Anne in the shins to get her to talk to you, let's get her to talk to us. We'll know almost immediately within like 5 to 7 minutes if she's here or if we're just getting a bunch of bleed over from the alley from Dr. Ladd. So let me take a look at my word list real quick and see what I have here. I got the word page, which is, I want more to go along with that. So yeah. Now it says every and any. Really? Can we get any more vague than that? And you know the questions we ask? Let's do this. Normally I joke around like if you brought a bottle of rum and you smoke tobacco, go ahead. I'll probably attract her more to you.
Red.
Guess what color her hair was?
Yeah.
So she got red. We're good with that. That's amazing. I normally throw that question to the person that's struggling with their spirit box because it's 1 syllable. So it's easy to find when it comes up.
That's cool.
Probably one of the best communication pieces we've had all night.
Tulip?
You say tulip?
That's weird. I don't know what that means. Yeah, we normally get flat zeros here, unless we start getting close to the transformer poles, and then that little 2.2 is probably from me jolting it. But that's the temperature down there at the bottom. It's probably a little warmer than what yours is showing because it's been in my pocket next to my body heat, so it's gonna. I'm showing 61.1 and it's dropping.
60, well.
Yeah.
I don't know. 62, I guess.
Yeah. So anything, like the bushes are going to hang on to the ambient temperature closer than, obviously, the wife, the ground.
Yeah.
Right. Normally anything with leaves is normally a little bit cooler. Come on, I'll show you that other, like, filtered camera. Take that one from me, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Give your hands a break on it.
It's still recording.
Yeah, that's right. We'll stop it.